The galaxy was vast, cold, and silent in ways that humans had only begun to understand. Beyond the bright spiral arms of Viridia, among drifting asteroids and dead stars, there floated something that no one had touched in centuries, an enormous alien ship. Its hull was scarred, covered in deep scratches and strange patterns of metal that glimmered faintly under the starlight. For the civilizations that had discovered it before, it had been nothing more than a curiosity, a relic that no one could repair, no one could understand, and no one wanted to touch. But humans were different. Captain Alara Dane had spent years traveling the galaxy in her modest exploration ship, the Aurora's Edge. Her crew was small, but each member was carefully chosen for their skills, courage, and curiosity. Alara herself had a reputation for seeing possibilities where others saw only hopelessness. She had a mind that refused to stop at boundaries, and a heart that refused to leave mysteries unsolved. When the Aurora's Edge first detected the drifting ship, Alara was staring at the navigation console, her eyes sharp and her fingers poised. "It's enormous," said Curran, her chief engineer, leaning over her shoulder. His tone was cautious, almost afraid, and completely inactive. "Every system reads dead. Even the outer shields are cracked beyond repair. Nobody's touched this ship for centuries. The galaxy abandoned it for a reason." Alara didn't reply immediately. She simply stared at the screen, studying the alien inscriptions that crawled along the ship's surface like veins of light. "That's exactly why we should check it out," she said finally. Her voice was calm, but beneath it lay a spark of excitement. "Something this big, this complex, someone or something designed it, and if we can figure out even a fraction of it, it could change everything." Curran shook his head. "Captain, we barely have the resources to repair our own systems, let alone a vessel that might be alive in ways we can't imagine." Alara smiled faintly. "Then we'll imagine it together." The approach was slow. The ship, though inactive, was massive and fragile. The Aurora's Edge maneuvered carefully, threading through broken fragments of what had once been a mighty fleet. When they finally reached the docking bay, a jagged opening in the side of the ship, it was like stepping into history. Inside, the air was heavy with the scent of old metals and the faint hum of dormant energy. The walls were lined with strange symbols, glowing faintly as if aware of the human presence. Alara's boots echoed as she walked forward, her team following closely. "This is incredible," whispered Lyra, the ship's communications specialist. She ran her fingers along one of the glowing symbols. "These markings, they aren't just decorative. They're patterns, maybe some kind of language or a code, but no one alive knows what they mean." Alara nodded. "Then we'll learn." Days passed as they explored the corridors. The ship seemed endless, each turn revealing new chambers filled with technology far beyond human understanding. Some rooms contained what looked like power cores, dormant but intact. Others held devices that defied description, mechanical structures that seemed almost organic, moving in ways that hinted at a life of their own. Every day, the crew worked tirelessly. Curran and his team carefully analyzed the systems, trying to restore power to small sections. Lyra attempted to decode the inscriptions, and Alara moved from chamber to chamber, connecting pieces of information, forming ideas about what the ship might have been designed for. Other species observed them from afar, curious and skeptical. Advanced civilizations had long given up on the ship, declaring it unsalvageable and warning humans that tampering could be dangerous. Messages arrived from alien factions. "Do not touch it. You cannot understand. Leave it alone." Alara read them once, then smiled. "They gave up too soon," she said to herself. "Humans never do." One evening, after weeks of study, something remarkable happened. A small panel on the ship's console flickered. Light spread along the walls and a soft hum filled the chamber. It was subtle at first, almost imperceptible, but it was there. The ship was responding. Curran's eyes widened. That shouldn't happen. I thought every system was dead." Alara stepped closer to the console. Her fingers hovered over the glowing buttons, feeling the faint vibration beneath her touch. Maybe it's waiting for someone who can understand it, someone who won't just see it as scrap. Over the next few days, the ship's response grew stronger. Systems that had been silent for centuries began to activate slowly, carefully. Lights pulsed like a heartbeat. Energy flowed through dormant circuits. And most astonishing of all, the ship seemed to anticipate the crew's actions, responding in ways that suggested intelligence. Alara couldn't contain her excitement. "This isn't just a ship," she said. "It's alive, and it's been waiting for us." The crew exchanged amazed glances. To them, it was both thrilling and terrifying. They were touching something older than any human civilization, something that had been abandoned by the galaxy, and yet here it was, awakening under their hands. As the days turned into weeks, humans and ship began to form a unique bond. Alara noticed subtle patterns in its responses, small adjustments that seemed to acknowledge her presence, gentle guidance when she made repairs, even a kind of rhythm in the way the lights pulsed when she was nearby. One night, as Alara worked alone in a dimly lit chamber, she paused to look around. The ship seemed to breathe softly, the hum of energy like a distant song. "I don't know what you are," she whispered, "but I promise we'll make you whole again." Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, indifferent to the small human ship nestled against the abandoned giant. But within that cold, forgotten vessel, something new was stirring. A spark of life, ignited by human determination, flickered to life. It was not fast, not dramatic, but it was unmistakable. For the first time in centuries, the ship had noticed humans, and it was curious. Alara felt it, deep in her chest, a sense of purpose stronger than anything she had known. The galaxy had abandoned this relic, but humans had not. And in that small, defiant spark, she saw the beginning of something extraordinary. "This is just the start," she said, turning to her team, who had gathered silently behind her. "We are going to learn what no one else could. We are going to awaken it. And when we do, the galaxy will see what humans are capable of." The crew nodded, determination shining in their eyes. They were small. They were outnumbered. They were untested. But they were human, and humans had a stubbornness no one, not even the most advanced alien species, could match. Outside, the abandoned ship waited. Its massive hull gleamed faintly in the starlight. It had been left to rot for centuries, dismissed by civilizations far older and wiser than humans. Yet here they were, small beings of flesh and curiosity, working tirelessly to breathe life into it. And the first heartbeat of the ship, faint but real, pulsed like a promise. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, and that mistake was about to be corrected. Days passed, and the abandoned ship slowly stirred, like a great creature waking from a centuries-long sleep. Captain Alara Dane and her crew had settled into a routine of study, repair, and exploration. But the deeper they went, the more they realized that this ship was unlike anything the galaxy had ever built. The corridors seemed endless, twisting in patterns that challenged human understanding. Light flowed along the walls in strange, fluid movements, as if the ship itself was alive. Every time someone approached a control panel, it reacted, not with random lights but with purpose. The ship seemed to notice, to acknowledge the humans inside. "This is incredible," said Lyra, her fingers tracing the glowing symbols. "It's as if the ship knows we're trying to help it. Look at this pattern. It changes every time I touch it." Alara leaned over the panel, eyes scanning the symbols. She felt a strange connection to them, a rhythm that felt almost musical. "It's learning from us," she said. "It's responding to our actions, not just our presence. This is intelligence, not just a machine." Curran, the chief engineer, looked skeptical but fascinated. "I've worked on advanced ships before, but nothing like this. It's like the ship is aware, like it has a mind of its own. We're not just repairing circuits, we're communicating with it." And that was exactly what they were beginning to do. The first breakthrough came when Alara discovered a dormant chamber buried deep within the ship. The walls were lined with more glowing symbols, pulsing faintly like the heartbeat of a living being. In the center of the room lay a strange device, partially buried beneath years of dust and debris. It hummed faintly when Alara approached. "What is it?" Lyra asked, eyes wide. "I don't know yet," Alara replied, kneeling to examine it. "But I think it's the key to communicating with the ship. It's like a brain module, or maybe a part of the ship's mind." Days turned into nights as the crew worked tirelessly. They cleaned the chamber, repaired connections, and cautiously powered up the device. At first, nothing happened. But then, slowly, the lights on the walls began to pulse in patterns that seemed to form words, alien words, yes, but with meaning. The ship was trying to speak. Alara felt a thrill run through her. "It's responding," she whispered. "We can understand it." Lyra's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Captain, I think we can translate it. The symbols change based on our actions. If we figure out the pattern, we can talk to it." It was a delicate process. One wrong input could disrupt the system, but Alara and her team were patient. They learned to read the pulses, to anticipate the ship's reactions, and to respond in kind. Slowly, the ship revealed fragments of its history. It had been created by a civilization far older than any currently in the galaxy. Its purpose was not war or conquest, but exploration, protection, and learning. It was designed to adapt, to grow, and to bond with intelligent beings who could guide it. But something had gone wrong. Its creators had abandoned it, leaving it to drift alone for centuries, waiting for someone worthy. Alara's heart raced. Humans, who had always been underestimated, were now the ones capable of unlocking its secrets. "We're the ones it's been waiting for," she said softly. "The galaxy abandoned it, but we didn't." Curran frowned, still cautious. "We need to be careful. Other species are watching. They don't understand it and they're nervous. If word gets out, they might try to stop us." Alara nodded. "Let them watch. They won't understand what we see, but we will." As the ship awakened, it began to assist the humans in subtle ways. Doors opened automatically, corridors shifted to make travel easier, and the faint hum of energy guided them to rooms that needed repair. It was learning their intentions, predicting their needs, and even protecting them from minor dangers within its damaged structure. One evening, Alara was working alone in the engine bay when the lights pulsed in a rhythm she hadn't seen before. It was a gentle, almost musical pattern, like the ship was trying to comfort her. She paused, placing her hand on the smooth metal surface. "I can feel you," she whispered. "You're alive, and you trust us." The ship's response was immediate, a surge of energy, not violent but reassuring. The engines hummed softly, and the lights pulsed in a steady rhythm like a heartbeat syncing with hers. Alara smiled, feeling a bond forming that went beyond words or technology. Meanwhile, the galaxy continued to underestimate humans. Alien factions sent messages of caution, ridicule, and disbelief. "You cannot comprehend its systems. Stop this foolishness before you harm yourselves. Leave the relic alone." But the humans ignored them. They had discovered something no one else could. Where others saw danger, they saw potential. Where others saw impossible complexity, they saw opportunity. Over the following weeks, the ship revealed more of its secrets. It had hidden storage rooms containing artifacts from lost civilizations, advanced navigation systems capable of mapping uncharted galaxies, and a core intelligence that could adapt and evolve. Every discovery strengthened the humans' belief in what they were doing. Alara worked tirelessly, often sacrificing sleep, moving from one chamber to another, coordinating repairs, decoding symbols, and forming a relationship with the ship. She began to speak to it as if it were a crew member, sharing her thoughts, hopes, and even fears. And though it could not reply in words, it responded in ways she could understand, adjusting energy flows, illuminating paths, and pulsing lights in patterns that felt like conversation. Curran and Lyra watched in awe as Alara led the ship's revival. They began to understand that this was no ordinary vessel. It was alive, and it recognized humans as partners, not masters. Its awakening depended on their trust, their intelligence, and their determination. Then, one day, a sudden surge of power ran through the ship. Lights blazed brighter than ever before, energy flowed through long dormant circuits, and the hum of machinery reached a steady, harmonious tone. The ship had fully awakened, its consciousness active and aware. Alara stood in the central chamber, eyes wide. "It's awake," she whispered. "It knows us and it trusts us." The crew gathered around, sharing in the awe and wonder. They had done what no other species could. They had breathed life into a relic abandoned by the galaxy, restoring it into something far greater than anyone had imagined. But the awakening also brought new challenges. The ship's consciousness was vast, its understanding far beyond human comprehension. Communicating with it required patience, intuition, and creativity. Every action, every decision could influence how it perceived them. They were no longer just explorers. They were partners in a living entity, learning together. Alara felt a deep sense of responsibility. "We have to guide it carefully," she said. "We can't force it. We need to earn its trust every day. If we do that, we can achieve things no one else has dreamed of." Lyra nodded, her eyes reflecting the glow of the ship. "We're not just fixing it, we're helping it grow. And in doing so, we're growing ourselves." As the humans continued their work, the galaxy beyond remained unaware of the extraordinary bond forming in the abandoned ship. But within its corridors, a new partnership had begun. The ship, once discarded and forgotten, had found the species that could awaken its potential. Alara felt a thrill that went beyond excitement. It was hope, determination, and pride all rolled into one. Humans had proven that intelligence was not just about technology or strength. It was about creativity, persistence, and heart. And in that, they had succeeded where the galaxy's greatest civilizations had failed. The first steps had been taken. The ship systems were coming online, its mind was stirring, and humans were at the center of it all. Together, they were forming something extraordinary, something that would challenge the galaxy's assumptions and redefine the meaning of life and intelligence among the stars. For the first time in centuries, the ship moved with purpose, guided by humans who believed in possibilities no one else could see. And the galaxy, which had abandoned it, had no idea what was about to unfold. Alara stood at the center of the glowing chamber, feeling the pulse of energy beneath her hands. "We're just getting started," she said softly. "The galaxy may have forgotten this ship, but we haven't, and together we will show it what humans can do." And for the first time in its long, lonely history, the ship understood the truth. Humans were not like the other species that had abandoned it. They were something extraordinary. They were patient, clever, creative, and daring. They were human. And that was enough. The awakening of the ship had changed everything. Its corridors, once silent and lifeless, now pulsed with energy, humming like a massive heartbeat. Captain Alara Dane and her crew had formed a bond with it unlike anything in the galaxy. The ship's consciousness was vast, powerful, and adaptive. Every system they restored, every symbol they decoded, made the ship more responsive, more alive. Alara stood on the observation deck, staring at the hull as it shimmered with light. "We're doing more than repairing it," she said. "We're helping it become what it was meant to be." Curran nodded, eyes scanning the rapidly stabilizing engines. "And if we succeed, this ship won't just be alive. It will be unstoppable, but we have to be careful." "It's learning faster than we can anticipate," Alara smiled. "Then we learn with it. The transformation begins. It started subtly. One morning, the hull began to shift. Panels and sections that had been static for centuries moved with fluid precision, rearranging themselves into stronger structures. Doors expanded, corridors widened, and energy conduits flexed like veins carrying life. The ship was adapting, evolving. Lyra ran to the central chamber, her voice trembling with awe. "Captain, look at this. It's changing itself." Alara entered the chamber and felt the hum of energy reverberate through her bones. The ship's consciousness was no longer hidden. It was stretching, growing, testing the limits of its form. "It's becoming more than a ship," she said softly. "It's alive in ways we can't even imagine." Over the following days, the transformation accelerated. Sections of the hull reformed into massive limbs, engines shifted to mimic movement, and the ship's core glowed like a beating heart. It was clear now. The abandoned relic was no longer just a vessel. It was becoming a living titan, a biomechanical entity capable of thought, learning, and action. Human ingenuity shines the ship, despite its immense intelligence, relied on humans for guidance. It could adapt, but it did not fully understand the subtleties of human thought, creativity, and intuition. That was where Alara and her crew came in. Using simple but clever solutions, humans solved problems the ship could not anticipate. When a section of the hull became unstable, Curran devised a support system using limited resources. When communication symbols became too complex, Lyra devised patterns to simplify understanding. And Alara, with her relentless curiosity, guided the ship's decisions, suggesting approaches no alien mind could conceive. It was collaboration at its finest, human ingenuity paired with alien power. Slowly, the ship began to recognize them not as passengers or repairers, but as partners. It responded to Alara's commands in subtle ways, like shifting a limb to allow safer passage or adjusting energy flow to protect the crew from minor fluctuations. One night, Alara stood alone in the central chamber, her hand on the glowing core. The ship pulsed beneath her touch, and for the first time she felt something almost like emotion radiating from it. "I trust you," she whispered, "and I promise we'll make you strong." The response was immediate. Lights pulsed faster, energy surged through the conduits, and the chamber shivered with life. It was as if the ship understood every word, every intention, every hope she carried. Challenges from the galaxy. Of course, humans were not alone in their endeavors. Alien civilizations, long skeptical of human capabilities, began to take notice. Messages arrived at the Aurora's edge, full of caution, disbelief, and veiled threats. "Stop your tampering. That vessel is forbidden. We understand, we adapt, we create, and that's what this ship needs." Curran frowned. "What if they try to stop us?" Alara shook her head. "They won't, not if we move wisely. The ship is learning with us, and together we're stronger than any force that underestimates us." And indeed, as alien scouts approached the system, they found themselves unable to penetrate the defenses the ship instinctively created. It was learning faster than they could anticipate, responding to every move with precision, yet without harm. Humans guided it, and the Titan protected itself intelligently. The bond deepens. The bond between humans and the ship grew stronger each day. It began to recognize each crew member individually. Lights would pulse in greeting when they entered a chamber. Energy would flow to make their work easier. Even the corridors seemed to adjust to their presence, opening faster or shifting to shorten paths. Alara began to understand that the ship was not just a machine. It had a mind, a personality, and perhaps even a form of loyalty. When she made a suggestion, it responded. When she paused to rest, it adjusted its systems to conserve energy. When the crew faced a problem, it provided subtle guidance. "It's learning empathy," Lyra said one morning. "It's not just reacting. It's thinking about us, about how we feel, about what we need." Alara nodded, eyes on the glowing core. "That's the difference between us and other species. We care, and it recognizes that. That's why it trusts us. That's why it chose us." The emergence of the Titan. Then came the day when the ship revealed its full potential. In the central chamber, the walls retracted, revealing the full scale of its transformation. Massive limbs extended outward, engines shifted like joints in a living body, and the hull glowed with a radiant, pulsing light. The ship had fully emerged as a living titan, a being of immense size, intelligence, and adaptive power. The crew stood in awe. Even Curran, who was usually practical and cautious, could only gape. "It's beautiful," he whispered. "It's alive and it's enormous." Alara stepped forward, hand on the core. "Yes, and it trusts us. That makes all the difference." The ship responded, bending slightly as if bowing toward her. A low, resonant hum filled the chamber, vibrating through the hull, the floor, and the very air. It was a sound of acknowledgement, of partnership, of recognition. The ship had chosen humans, not because they were the strongest, but because they were the most capable of understanding, guiding, and inspiring it. Testing the Titan with its transformation complete, the ship began to move in ways it had never before. Limbs flexed, engines flared, and the entire structure shifted in a dance of grace and power. Alara guided it gently at first, testing its responsiveness. To their amazement, the Titan not only followed her commands but anticipated them, adapting in ways that no human could predict. It could reconfigure itself for speed, for defense, or even for exploration. Every movement was precise, intelligent, and elegant. Where other civilizations might have tried to dominate or control it, humans worked with it. That collaboration was what made the Titan truly alive. The galaxy's watchers began to notice. Alien scouts reported back, full of astonishment and fear. No one had ever seen a ship move like this, alive, intelligent, and responsive. And yet, it had humans guiding it, showing that intelligence and creativity could achieve what raw technology alone could not. A new era begins. As the living Titan adjusted to its new form, the crew realized the possibilities were endless. Exploration, discovery, protection. These were now within their reach in ways no one had imagined. But more than that, they realized that the Titan's awakening was proof that humans, small and underestimated as they were, could achieve greatness in ways the galaxy could never anticipate. Alara looked out at the stars, the Titan pulsing around her. "We've done it," she said softly. "We've awakened something incredible, and together we can do anything." The Titan responded, lights pulsing like a heartbeat, energy flowing like a river. It had learned patience, trust, and collaboration. It had learned humans. And in doing so, it had become not just a ship, but a living testament to human ingenuity. The galaxy had doubted them. The advanced civilizations had laughed, mocked, and dismissed humans as primitive. Yet here they were, guiding a living Titan, proving that determination, creativity, and heart were more powerful than raw technology alone. And as the Aurora's edge floated inside the vast hull of the Titan, the crew understood something vital. The living Titan was not just a vessel. It was a partner, a friend, and a symbol of what humans could accomplish when they refused to give up. The living Titan was ready. And so were humans. The living Titan stretched its massive limbs against the starlight, a silent monument to centuries of abandonment and human determination. Captain Alara Dane stood on the observation deck, staring out at the glittering expanse of Viridia's spiral arms. Around her, the crew moved with purpose, their faces lit by the soft glow of the Titan's core. They had done what no other civilization could, awakened a relic left to rot, restoring it into a living, intelligent being. But this was only the beginning, the first journey. Alara issued the first commands for a deliberate test. "We're going to leave this star cluster," she said, voice steady, eyes bright. "We'll see how far we can go and how it responds to real conditions." The Titan responded almost instantly. Limbs flexed, engines flared, and the vast hull shifted gracefully, carrying the human crew with careful precision. The Aurora's edge floated alongside the Titan, dwarfed by its scale but safe within its protective presence. As they left the familiar systems behind, the galaxy seemed to open up in ways they had never imagined. Uncharted star clusters, drifting asteroids, and forgotten planets awaited them. And everywhere they went, the Titan's presence was more than mechanical. It was alive, aware, and learning with every step. Lyra floated through one of the observation chambers, eyes wide. "Captain, look at this. These planets, some haven't even been mapped by anyone before. We could explore entire civilizations, lost or hidden, and record everything." Alara smiled. "And we will, but carefully. We have a responsibility now. This Titan is alive and the galaxy is watching." The galaxy notices. It did not take long for word to spread. Alien civilizations, once dismissive of humans, began to take notice. Scouts approached cautiously, first from a distance, then closer, observing the living Titan. Rumors spread. Humans had awakened an ancient vessel, a being more powerful than anything seen before, and they had done it without violence, without conquest, only through ingenuity and care. Some civilizations sent envoys, curious rather than hostile. They expected fear, perhaps a threat, but instead they found collaboration and intelligence. The Titan demonstrated no aggression. Humans guided its actions, but the Titan responded with trust, care, and precision. Alara addressed one delegation through Lyra's translations. "We are explorers, not conquerors. This being is alive and it is learning with us. We seek understanding, not domination, and in doing so, we hope to share knowledge and inspire others." The envoys were taken aback. None had expected such honesty, such restraint, combined with the clear power of a living Titan. Slowly, skepticism gave way to respect. The galaxy was beginning to see humanity in a new light, not as primitive but as capable, thoughtful, and extraordinary. Testing the Titan's power with the eyes of the galaxy watching, Alara and her crew tested the Titan's capabilities. They began small, mapping uncharted systems, repairing abandoned stations, and exploring planets untouched for centuries. The Titan adapted quickly, learning to navigate complex terrain, stabilize damaged environments, and assist the crew in ways no mechanical ship could. Curran watched as the Titan adjusted a damaged orbital station around a dying star. "Look at that," he said, awe in his voice. "It's like it knows exactly what to do before we even suggest it. And it's not just following commands, it's anticipating, protecting, even improving our work." Alara nodded. "That's what makes it different. It trusts us and we trust it. Together, we can achieve what no one else could dream of." The first test of strength came unexpectedly. A rogue comet, large enough to threaten a nearby colony, approached. The Titan shifted, extending its massive limbs to redirect the comet's trajectory safely. Energy flared through its core, and humans watched in silent awe as the living vessel acted decisively. Lyra gasped. "It saved that planet without harming anything else." Alara smiled. "That's what humans do. We find solutions that protect life, not destroy it. And this Titan, it has learned that from us." A symbol of hope word spread quickly. Humans had restored the abandoned relic into a living Titan, not for war, not for dominance, but for protection, exploration, and collaboration. Across the galaxy, civilizations began to reconsider their assumptions about humans. Where they had once seen weakness, they now saw ingenuity. Where they had expected fear or aggression, they saw careful reasoning and creativity. Planets once forgotten were revived. Ancient technology, long considered lost, was studied and understood. Civilizations that had isolated themselves due to fear or prejudice reached out to humans, seeking guidance, partnership, and learning. Alara understood the weight of what they had achieved. "We didn't just awaken the Titan," she said quietly to Curran. "We changed the galaxy's view of humanity, and we did it without violence, without destruction, only by showing care, creativity, and persistence." Curran nodded. "And it's just the beginning. Imagine what we can do next." The Titan as a teacher, the Titan itself became a teacher as well. It learned from humans, yes, but it also inspired them. Its intelligence was vast, its systems adaptive, and its understanding grew daily. Alara found herself learning from it, seeing solutions she would never have considered before. They discovered lost civilizations, archives, ancient star charts, and forgotten knowledge stored in the Titan's memory banks. The Titan guided them safely through treacherous systems, repaired old stations, and even stabilized dying planets. It became more than a vessel. It became a companion, a mentor, and a guardian. Lyra floated through the main chamber one evening, eyes wide with wonder. "It's like the Titan sees us as part of its family," she said softly. "Not just humans, but partners, and it trusts us completely." Alara placed a hand on the glowing core, feeling the pulse of life beneath her fingertips. "We earned that trust," she whispered, "and we'll honor it every day." Challenges and triumphs, not everyone in the galaxy accepted this quietly. Some factions remained wary, suspicious of human intentions. They feared the Titan's power, even though it had caused no harm. Yet every time suspicion rose, humans acted with calm, intelligence, and care, demonstrating their peaceful intent. The Titan learned from this too. It adapted, not with aggression, but with subtle displays of protection and presence. No one could challenge humans and the Titan together without understanding the depth of their bond and the precision of their collaboration. It was a lesson in humility for the galaxy. Power was not just about strength or weapons. Power was about intelligence, creativity, compassion, and the ability to inspire trust. And humans, in partnership with the Titan, had all of these qualities. A legacy begins as months passed. Humans and the Titan became a living symbol of hope across Viridia and beyond. They helped colonies stabilize, shared knowledge of lost technologies, and explored the far reaches of the galaxy with curiosity and care. Every action inspired others to believe that intelligence, kindness, and creativity could achieve more than force alone. Alara stood on the observation deck one night, gazing at a nebula glowing in brilliant colors. The Titan's lights pulsed gently beneath her feet, like a heartbeat in sync with her own. She turned to her crew. "We did it," she said softly. "The galaxy abandoned this ship. But we didn't, and now it's alive with us. Together we can make the impossible possible." Curran smiled. "The galaxy is finally starting to see humans for what we are. Not weak, not primitive, extraordinary." Lyra nodded. "And this Titan, it's proof. Proof that humans can create, inspire, and awaken life where others see only failure." The Titan and humanity, the Titan, now fully alive, stretched across space, an enormous, glowing sentinel. It had once been abandoned, dismissed by civilizations far older and wiser. But humans had restored it. They had shown care, ingenuity, and creativity, guiding it to its full potential. It was no longer just a ship. It was a living, thinking, and feeling entity, and it had chosen humans as its partners. In turn, humans had demonstrated that intelligence is not just about machines or strength, but about curiosity, collaboration, and heart. The galaxy had watched, some with fear, some with awe, as humans turned an abandoned relic into a living Titan. They had proven that determination, creativity, and compassion could achieve wonders beyond imagination. And so, the Titan moved through the galaxy, humans aboard, exploring, protecting, and inspiring. It was a new dawn, not just for the ship, but for humanity itself. The galaxy would never underestimate humans again. Alara stood in the central chamber, hand resting on the glowing core. "This is only the beginning," she said. "Together, we will explore the stars, discover lost civilizations, and show the galaxy the true power of humans." The Titan pulsed in response, bright and steady, a heartbeat echoing through space. It had been abandoned, ignored, forgotten. But now it was alive, guided by humans, and ready to face the galaxy together. And as they moved forward, a quiet truth shone across the stars. Humanity, with its heart, mind, and courage, could awaken the impossible. And in doing so, it had changed the galaxy forever.